Hi folks, today we are kicking off our 12 days of debunking. In this series, we'll tackle some of the most common nutrition myths. First up, we're talking about canned foods. There's this kind of widespread belief that canned foods are not healthy or that they're the worst kind of vegetables that we can choose. But is there any truth to this? Let's unpack this myth a little bit. If all that sounds good to you, let's go. Hi folks, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist, and on this channel I like to talk about weight inclusive and weight neutral focused approaches to health, as well as diving into scammy and, in my opinion, unethical nutrition related businesses, products, mostly nutrition related MLMs, and other fear mongering nutrition related claims. So let's dive into this myth around canned foods and if they're healthy or not. There is a belief that canned foods lose all of their nutrition once they're canned. And this often leads people to overlooking canned food choices. And this can happen throughout the entire year, but it can also happen throughout the holiday season when we're trying to just cook foods for our families and make sure that our families get like nutrient-rich foods. But does canning actually affect the nutrient content? The canning process can actually preserve a lot of nutrients. So canning in general, it involves sealing the food in the can and then heating it up to kill bacteria. And in some cases, it can actually enhance certain nutrients like lycopene, for example. Lycopene is an antioxidant in tomatoes, and in canned products, the bioavailability of that is increased. That is just a fancy way of saying that our bodies can better utilize it, absorb it, and use it. Canned foods are also picked at their peak ripeness, and that is a point when they are very much full of nutrients. Some canned foods might actually be more nutrient dense than fresh foods that have been sitting out for a while and maybe not at their peak nutrient density. Studies do show that some nutrients like vitamin C do go down a little bit though. I'm going to read something from the USDA website. So they say that many vegetables begin losing their vitamins when harvested. Nearly half of the vitamins may be lost within a few days unless the fresh produce is cooled or preserved. Within 1 or 2 weeks, even refrigerated produce loses half or more of some of its vitamins. So this is talking about produce in general, like fresh produce. The heating process during canning destroys from 1/3 to 1/2 of vitamins A, C, thiamine, and riboflavin. Once canned, additional losses of those sensitive vitamins are from 5 to 20% each year. The amounts of other vitamins, however, are only slightly lower in canned compared to fresh food. If vegetables are handled properly and canned promptly after harvest, they can be more nutritious than fresh produce sold at local stores. So it's not about just having canned foods or just having fresh foods or frozen. Let's not forget about frozen as well. We can really have a variety of fresh, frozen, and canned fruits and vegetables, and recognize that some of them can be higher or lower in certain nutrients, but as long as we're having variety, like that is what's going to help us with the overall intake and helping us to have a very nutrient-rich, nutrient-dense intake. So now that we've talked about how canned produce can be nutrient-dense, let's talk about the integration of them into one's intake. Having a healthy relationship with food is about nourishing your body, having body kindness, and making choices that are going to be in support of physical health. That's part of body kindness. When selecting canned foods, I really encourage people to take into account their personal preferences and also their nutrition needs. If you are sensitive to salt or sugar or prefer less of those, then look for canned options that don't have added salts or added sugars. If you feel like a food needs a little bit more flavor or salt, you can always add that in once you're eating it. Incorporating canned foods into your intake can be easy and also beneficial. We've mostly been talking about produce, but this can be extended. For example, I love adding canned black beans into my salads. It provides a really great fiber source and overall nutrient-dense source of food that can help bulk up my salad. You can also use canned tomatoes really easily in a wide variety of recipes. And remember that lycopene, that specific antioxidant, that's going to be increased in those canned tomatoes. There's also canned tuna, canned salmon. That can be an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids that are very anti-inflammatory and delicious. But beyond their nutritional benefits, we can really use canned foods, canned food options in a variety of ways that can really enhance the flavors, the textures, the overall enjoyment of foods. And one of my favorite things about canned foods, and also one of the reasons why I get so upset when people say that people shouldn't have canned foods, is the fact of their accessibility and affordability. They can be a very cost-effective way of adding nutrient-dense foods into your overall intake. So when we talk about the value of canned foods, it's not just the potential like nutrients. We're not just talking about the nutritional content, but also their role in making a balanced intake more affordable and accessible, which is very important. So as a kind of summary, while some nutrients are decreased in the canning process, other ones can be increased or not significantly changed. It's important to recognize canned foods as a very valid source of nutrients and play a huge role in availability and accessibility. They can be a valuable and enjoyable part of a nutrient-rich intake. That wraps it up for this video. Please leave a like and make sure you're subscribed. I'd greatly appreciate that. Stay tuned in our 12 days of debunking. And remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. I'll see you later. Bye.